Good evening, everybody. Welcome to weekly Rivals Race Chat. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross here for our weekly, and Adam's over there writing a novel like a studious professor. What do you got your nose up in the air, typing away? What are you writing there, big guy?
I'm I'm bitching about you sharing this. So Race Rivals Race Chat is starting now. Warning, I'm overtired and cranky. I may not be real interested in putting up with Clinton Jeffrey Crutchka's crap.
Oh,
Might be
welcome to the
fun
show to you too.
to watch. I'm tired. I'm overtired.
Well,
I
it's
stayed
funny.
stayed up like Clinton Jeffrey late last night.
You said that 2 weeks ago we were feuding, and finally we were smart enough to say. And it's funny, just like a married couple across the country, you were in, I think, Nova Scotia, and I was at Brighton, and we were both in pissy moods, and we were fighting and getting snippy, and it took us about an hour before we woke up and said, "Hey, I'm in a shitty mood. We shouldn't talk about this tonight." And then you, yeah, me too. And then we kissed and made up the next day, and we talked about how you brought up and said, "What'd you say about being like a married couple? One of us is always
I don't
pissed off."
remember. Yeah, don't ever ask me to remember what I said. I say it once, I just assume it's brilliant and hilarious, and then I forget all about it.
Well,
That's
first
how I
off, I want
roll.
to say thanks to everybody for joining us. With the Canadian Sprint Car National just passing, I know we both got a lot of compliments, a lot of comments about people who are referring to the reference of the Wednesday show. I mean, Scott Kruger listened to your wish and celebrated with the fans, and even referred to it in Victory Lane. So that was super cool. We're definitely touching a lot of points, and a lot of fans came up to discuss it, and we're throwing jabs and comments of what we saw. So, what's your take on our reach so far, Adam?
You know what, Clint? It's very rewarding. It's rewarding to have people come up and say, "Oh, we watched this, we listened to this. Oh, I think you're wrong." I love it when people say, "I think you're wrong," or when they're abrasive, because it shows they're listening, they're engaged, right? So
I
it
agree.
it might sound strange, but and Allison Kruger, I was talking to her earlier tonight, and we've had great feuds on what she felt was right and wrong throughout the season. But I appreciated what she had to say, even if I didn't agree with it. It's coming from a place of passion, and we need passionate people in the sport. So, long answer to a short question. We got a lot of that. Quality feedback that just shows people are listening. And what Scott Kruger did, it would have been enough. His celebration would have been enough just for me to watch the look on your face and how pissed off you were that he wasn't making his way down to your victory lane. But the fact that the fans loved it, and it was cool. It was so much more personal to stop where he did, get up on the wing. The only thing we got to work on next time, I don't know why drivers leave their helmets on so much. Do you know? Even
I think it's
NASCAR
just
drivers, they get out of the car to celebrate, and they keep the helmet on, and it's hard to feel their emotion like that.
I think the Hans device, all that extra stuff they've got on, just it's just quicker to get out and jump up and down than it is to then stop and take it off. And I just want to reference the victory lane. Even Scott said he knew you'd be in trouble for it. No, I'm not the big ogre everybody makes me out to be. But someone does have to keep us on schedule when we're on live television. So we're still trying to push through and make sure the schedule goes on. And of course, the camera guys and the producers are all like, "He's not in victory lane. What do we do?" Okay, here comes Scott. And you said on last week's show, Adam, wouldn't it be great if one of our local guys could win it and pull down front and celebrate with the fans. And there Scott's doing. I don't know if you got any audio, Spencer, to go along with it, but that is super cool. And there's Scott up there celebrating his $10,000 U.S. win in the 15th annual Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, and great moment for
And
sure with the
I
fans.
love the fans in the background just giving a wave, cheering. Um, they loved it, and what a great night! I mean, what did that feature take to run? 11 minutes.
Yeah, it was fast. I mean, we'll recap the whole week, and we should probably start at the beginning because we started at the end, but like we do most things. So first off, let's start off with Friday, Adam. Well, Thursday we got practice got canceled. Then we get into Friday, and it looked like it was going to rain all day, like all day. The radar said rain at 4, rain at 6, rain at 8. No matter who you asked to, the skies looked ominous. It just didn't look like we were going to get it in. So let's talk about the weather leading up to the day first off, and then we'll get into how our team handled it.
Well, and not only the radar, but it felt like rain. It felt like it at all times we were about to get dumped on. And I said, I don't know if I said it on the, I don't think I did say it on the air because even I wouldn't say this, but I think I was talking to Greg in the tower saying, even if I was on location in the campground, I would have considered not going up to the track for the races because you knew it was, it was just going to pour at some point. Might as well stay comfortable back at the trailer and wait for things to get called off.
No, and I don't think that was a bad idea. I mean, even guys like Steve Lyons we were talking to, and he said, man, we're not going to get this in. He said, what would you do if you're me? And I said, well, you didn't hear it from me, but what I do is I draw, and if I got a good draw, then I'd saddle up to get ready to get muddy. If I'm 11 in an 11 car heat, I'm riding out till Saturday morning. And he just laughed. But in the end, we still had 50 cars sign in for the deal, and our team hustled. I mean, we told them no intermission, no victory lanes, no breaks, and we put the gas down, and away we went.
So the night before the Nationals traditionally gets a very small crowd. It's not a huge event. The weekend is a big event. But this year, with the triple 15s, it really set the stage for what was going to happen this weekend. Of course, Jason Barney winning one of the triple 15s, you would expect someone like him to be a contender. But then Corey Turner won one of the 15s, and then Matt Farnham almost won one of the qualifiers, but Parker Price Miller got him right in the end. But what a fantastic story to start the weekend with. The locals winning, the locals almost beating the favorite in Parker Price Miller. It just set up that much more anticipation for what was going to come Saturday night. And sure enough, Saturday night we were rewarded with a fantastic show. And I'll tell you my favorite part of Saturday night once we get to it. But let's start. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I just want to address a couple comments we saw that someone mentioned it was poor planning and pit organization on our part why we had that delay for the first feature. But you got to understand, we didn't have any B mains. We didn't have a street stock B main. We didn't need a mini stock B main. So now we're telling sprint car teams that normally have hour and a half between their heats and their features, they had like 6 minutes to get back on the line. So if they were in that first feature, we were hustling them up pretty fast. And they're like, yeah, sure, we got to go. But, the second and third go because they realize the first feature is already on the track. They're not messing around. But the first feature, so we had not planned to have any victory lane for the mini stock and street stock at all, but until the very end. But when it came down to it, Doug said to me, hey, man, we've got 0 sprint cars on the line, and we've been yelling at them for 5 minutes. And it's only been 5 minutes since we started calling them. What are we going to do here? And I said, well, we can't have nothing going on because then we're going to look really bad. So for those who commented about pit organization, I'm going to defend our team there and say we were on as best we can. It was the drivers that held us up, and just because they're not simply used to that fast of a turnaround, but we got through it. And then as we're standing there with Corey Turner, man, I'm like, okay, and I could see the raindrops coming down. They looked as big as toonies on the ground beside me, and we were like, man, and then it just let go. Oh, here's Spencer. Spencer, you're so freaking good. And there are a couple, you can see the big drops starting to come, flying through the screen like bullets, and then all of a sudden, it just opened up, Adam, and I've not seen. I think Roy Silva put it best. It was like, someone flushed upstairs and look at that rain come in, just torrential drain pour, almost like a hurricane out of nowhere.
But look at the surface of the track because it was so slicked over. It's ice is not as slippery as wet clay, hard packed wet clay. I mean, I don't know. And I shouldn't have been making fun over the PA system, but I was because I knew it was going to be a gong show. Look at way up in the background. People are starting to try to figure out how they're going to get across the racetrack. There is no good way to get across the track when it's like that.
And you see us trying to push out sprint cars. We get stuck in turn 2. It was just a horrible mess. And then you making fun of everybody on the PA, and you come skidding into the tech barn. You nearly ended up on your ass, which would have been quite funny if you didn't get hurt, by the way. But give us all a good chuckle as you come sliding in like a greaser.
I deserved that, too, because I was just walking. It's not like I was trying to show off and slid. My foot just went out from under me, and I'm a pretty big dude to do the splits.
But so we got all the racing in, then the rains came in, which was awesome. And then actually the rains went away about a half hour later, and we ended up having a good time. Had a good party most of the night, and everybody hung around, and the band played till 3 a.m. So it wasn't a total washout. We had a great night Friday night, and that led us into Saturday morning. Unique thing this year, Adam, we showed tech live all year. Not a major thing, just another little add-on to kind of drum up some business and let people know that we were going racing that night. And I think it was neat for the fans to be able to just check in and be like, oh, that's cool, teching cars all day, which was kind of interesting. And that then that led us into the big show.
Yeah, you know, the only disappointment for me on the weekend would be that we were up against Delaware Speedway, and it would be like going up against Jukasa Speedway. It's just not ideal. I think the crowd would have been that much bigger, but it was still awesome. We had a bunch of people at the track Friday night who went to Delaware Saturday and then came back to keep on camping at the racetrack. But a big weekend for racing, and man, I feel good about every part of it. And if we're almost done with Sprint Car Nationals talk, my favorite part of Sprint Car Nationals Saturday is the fact that we didn't put a single sprint car upside down. We had nearly 100 cars in the pits fighting for the most money a lot of these drivers will race for all year long. Not so much as spun out and laid over on his side, let alone wicked flip. The night before we did, Aaron Turkey had a tough one the night before, but no, the Saturday was just great, hard, clean racing, as good as it gets.
This was a video that we're watching right now. It's set to Old Town Road, and I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's an awesome video edited together by Elliot Corbett Wilson, who's a fan from Southwestern Ontario down in South Buxton, Southern Ontario Motor Speedway area. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's super cool to check it out. It's been passed around on Facebook, so you can find it through the Ashweekend Facebook page as well. And just some great imagery of the weekend, Adam. And you're right, seeing the tractors out there. Jordan and the crew did an amazing job. Track was not an issue at all. And I think that led to the amazing racing we saw and the fact that we weren't wrecking any cars. The track was just awesome for these guys. So seriously, a great run. And then to lead into the Alphabet Soup, I thought was great this year, right? We hustled through that. What was your thoughts on that instead of the Triple B mains? I really enjoyed the Alphabet Soup.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I'm sure most of our viewers understand what that is, but so instead of having 3 consies with everyone spread out, you run a D main, C main, B main. So the bottom, and the numbers worked out perfect because the bottom 24 cars raced in the C main, and the top 4 or 6 go to the back of the B main. So it's a progression. And I mean, look at Matt Tanner. What a great story. Where did he start in the C main? 17th. And made it into the A main. I think he finished 12th or something in the A main, but shows that you can climb up through that ladder. There was room to race, and he put on a show.
Yeah, I agree. So great car count. We had 60 register and 37 crates. Next year, the Friday will be the Canadian Crate Nationals, the first ever, and then Saturday will be the 360 Nationals, as it's been for the 16th time. And here's some imagery of the A main and some of our own highlights. And Spencer, we got audio for this? Yeah, throw some audio on
down
there.
Through 1 and 2, Parker Price Miller on the outside with an impressive run, but the top 2 still side by side through 3 and 4. Jordan Thomas going to lead lap 1.
Parker Price Miller, though, right on his tail tank. He'll look low down in corner number 1. Thomas, your leader. Parker Price Miller in the second spot. And then it's Max Stambaugh, Poirier, and Haferteep on the first lap.
And the point I was making before I almost interrupted your pre-race festivity is the winner last year came from the very back of the field. It could be anybody out there right now taking this one home tonight. But so far, it's all Jordan Thomas with Parker Price Miller giving chase.
3 laps down on the board with Jordan Thomas out in front. Parker Price Miller running the outside line. Max Stambaugh down about a line up from the block wall right now in the 3rd spot. Poirier tracking him down quick. Thomas right out to the wall on the front stretch. Will stick it down in the middle lane, trying to find a lane that'll work. And Parker Price Miller sees the opportunity.
What we're saying right now, can we be heard over top of our own announcing?
Parker Price Miller had been working the outside of the racetrack. Now he's gone down to the bottom and back to the outside as Jordan Thomas going to try to work through this traffic. Closing the door is Billy Van Imogen down into 1.
Now here comes Parker Price Miller down to the inside of the lap car of Jared Horseman. Jordan Thomas back to 2nd. Steve Poirier, the fireball, now has worked his way into the 3rd spot. Max Stambaugh slid back to 4th. Thick in traffic right now, trying to work by Ryan Turner and Joe Trenka.
And the top three have now closed back in. Jordan Thomas closing on Parker Price Miller. A problem for one. That's Davey Franek, I believe, headed towards the pits.
So across the stripe this time by, it'll be 19 laps now on the board for Parker Price Miller. He's got the lead, but Jordan Thomas, Scott Kruder are right there, second and third. They can see the leader. Steve Poirier's drifted back just a little bit in fourth.
Scott Kruder has taken over the second spot, and he is closing on Parker Price Miller.
21 laps on the board. Green flag racing so far in this one with Parker Price Miller in the lead. But here comes the straight shooter. And the Haddock Racing number 49, Scott Kruder, is reeling the 67 in, and I'll tell you what, in the 3 races we've seen this year, not many drivers have been able to do this. Here he comes with a charge in corner 3.
Scott Kruder working the high groove in 3 and 4. He's got a run off the corner on Parker Price Miller. He'll head in on the outside of 1.
10 laps left to go. Jason Barney right in front of the leaders. Parker Price Miller works the bottom line as Matt Farnham has joined the mix. Look at him up there.
Matt Farnham in the 7NY. We got a pair of teammates in the top 3. What a story here at Ushweekend.
Not too long ago, Matt Farnham was running modifieds full-time, dabbled in the crates for a little bit, won in almost every start, and in his rookie season in the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, he's making his name a factor.
Here goes Scott Kruder making his move, sets him up in 3 and 4, drives by on the inside.
Scott Kruder, your new leader on lap number 27. We've been green flag all along. Parker Price Miller sent back to the second spot. You don't see that happen very often.
You also don't see Mark Smith go a lap down in the 55 very often. He is always a contender here in this race. Farnham applying the pressure on the 67 of Parker Price Miller. He'll drive to the inside in 3 and 4. Price Miller's got to be thinking, what the hell? How many black and orange cars are there?
Right now, it is Kruder caught in behind Jake Brown and Scott Holcomb. He'll try and work by Farnham into the second spot. That Haddock Racing team is hooked up as they work it off of corner number 4. 31 laps on the board, 4 to go.
We say this time and time again, folks, but keep in mind, there are no rear view mirrors. There are no spotters in this car. Scott Kruder has no idea how big of a lead he does or does not have.
We've gone green to checkered so far, and the white flag is coming out. Pardon me, we've gone green flag racing so far. We're hoping to get green to checkered this time around. The race isn't over. Here comes Farnham.
Matt Farnham is closing in on his teammate one more time through 3 and 4.
Here comes Kruder. Splits the lap traffic off of corner 4. A home track regular brings it home and wins the Canadian Sprint Car National.
Matt Farnham comes home second. Parker Price Miller in third. Jordan Thomas in fourth. Steve Poirier in fifth. How about if the driver stopped by the fence to celebrate with the fans? And that's what he's doing, folks. Scott Kruder.
What a sight.
Awesome. Awesome to have one of our locals get it done after 15 years, Adam.
And calling a race with Greg Callan, similar to calling a race with Euclid, it's just fun. You know, it's one after the other. We don't cut each other off too much. But what a moment that was. We'll get back to that, but what a moment that was. It was just a touching, exciting. I mean, for the shit that Scott Kruder went through, destroying a race car on the backstretch, could have been hurt that night that he was leading and flipped so bad. That is a full circle comeback right there.
You know, when you and I talked about it, it's funny how racing builds relationships. You know, we were at odds with the Kruders. I mean, Scott and I were screaming at each other 6-7 weeks ago now, and it was awesome to be able to shake his hand and you know, and give him that big check. I mean, it's just funny how you build friendships through adversity in racing sometimes. And you know, it's congrats to the Kruders. And one of my favorite things, I should have sent Spencer the pic, but we're standing in the tech barn right after. And Scott said, "Will you do a Jello shooter with me?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, buddy!" So we had a good time from there on out, and it was awesome. So congrats to them, and for Trey Haddock to see him crying in victory lane, that was awesome. So congrats to the Haddock and Kruders and everybody over there.
So the trouble, the downside of this, and I felt so bad. I felt worse the next day that I sent Greg an apology. You're going through the night at the races, and I don't want to say you're going through the motions, but everything is building up. So we'd been telling story all night long, building to the climax. The white flag is flown by Kyle McKenzie to say next time out of 4, we're going to be going racing in the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals. And I just carried on with whatever the stupid story was. I think I was talking about B-main transfer drivers and how the winner could come from anywhere in the field. And they were 2/3 the way down the backstretch, and Greg kind of waved towards me like, oh my goodness. The white flag, just like the starting lineups for sprint cars, the white flag lap is Greg Callan's lap. To go through his spiel, he's got a full
wind up.
What would you call it? Yeah, exactly. He's got a complete wind up, which is amazing. And I completely stepped on it on the biggest race of the year. He got some of it in at the end of the final pace lap, but I apologized repeatedly the next day. Like, oh my goodness, I feel like such a tool.
It's all right. McLean's already stealing the line from him anyway, so he'll be he won't have to do it much more. Anyways, that wraps up the Nationals. Congrats to our team from Ushweekend, especially for pulling off an amazing deal. I'm so proud of everybody Ushweekend for making that go, and we'll talk about that. I'm just going to jump ahead here if I can. Spencer, the fan feedback. We had some great feedback. I shared it on Facebook. Just one fan who tore a new one off us in the summer, said things were too long, things were bad. Basically commented on every part of the deal, and that was great to know that the bathrooms, the concession, the timing, everything went off awesome. It was super cool to see that. Matt
yeah,
TV,
so
Adam. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna explain entirely negative after the Summer Nationals, but he took the time to really lay out what was done well for the Sprint Car Nationals, and that was kind of him to do. And frankly, I don't think he was wrong with his comments on the Summer Nationals. I thought he was a little bit harsh, but if you're going to take the positive like he said this week, you've got to also take the negative when it comes.
And we appreciate them, obviously, when they hammer us to give us a pat on the back when there is a positive after a negative. So that's awesome. And who's the naked guy in your shot there, Adam? That's kind of funky. I know who it is, but
you don't see.
I may look a little weird.
You don't see Devin very often. You've met Devin. Devin's a bit of a fitness buff these days.
Have I met Devin? Jesus.
You haven't seen him often. When he was a little kid, for sure. He's a fitness buff now. I'd walk around shirtless too if I looked like that.
We're just trying to get more viewers from the other side. All right, so let's talk about MAV TV, Adam. We're super proud. That concluded our 7th live broadcast of MAV TV. And I'm most proud of our crew for pulling that off because the fans know that MAV did the uplink and they connected it, but everything you saw was run by Spencer and our crew with some help from some of the outside guys from MAV. But for the most part, we took our live stream, put it on national TV, took all our race friends here and a lot from Ontario, from the various groups, put them on national TV and gave everybody a piece of our package. And we can't thank Tony at Pinty's and Michael Comparoni and all those guys for everything they've done to put this together for us, and super happy how it worked out.
Did you just say you gave everyone in Canada a piece of your package?
No, I don't think I quite said that.
That's what I heard. That's almost exactly what I heard.
Spencer goes back as you did. You did. Of our TV package. Hey, we could have kept it to ourselves and not put anybody else on TV.
Well, last week at the beginning of the week, the conversation was had. Look, guys, we're not – the last couple of shows were not as good as the first couple of shows. Get with the program. And not that we were doing a bad job. I think we just – everything happened so quickly, you sort of go through the motion. So we really buckled down to focus on the last race of the year, put together a great package. And I think with the help of Spencer, with the help of everyone on the team, I think there was a much more concerted effort this past weekend to put on a quality show.
Yeah, things were well done. So we're happy with that. All right, let's move on out of the dirt, away from Ushweekend for a little bit. Let's talk about the APC race, Adam, and you'll have to lead us through this segment.
Yeah, APC at Delaware Speedway. I mean, that's a huge event for them. That's really where that series was born. Was in the London area. So anytime they go to Delaware Speedway, the spectators show up to support the event in earnest, and the drivers don't always rise to the occasion, Clint. And then some nights just go like this. It is a skinny track. It is a treacherous track. And the one thing I will point out as we're watching highlights, the front straightaway at Delaware from halfway through 3 and 4. Look at that. You see the pit wall there, the end of pit wall between 3 and 4, all the way to the entry to turn 1. It's a skinny racetrack. And when something goes wrong, it really collects a lot of cars in there. And to compound the problem, all the pit crews are on pit road on the front straightaway. So when there is a problem, there's gangs right there on the scene. So it was a tough night. And it looked like a normal race, the first half of it. And then all hell starts to break loose later on in the event. This is a simple enough spin. Matt Pritico went into this race pretty much with the championship locked up. I mean, he was really going to have a bad night for things to go wrong. You can see Jordan Sims there in the 47 getting all sorts of out of shape. Trayton Lapsevich right behind him was checking up, trying to give him places to go at his own expense. You see there Gord Shepard getting around in turn 4, and there's not a lot of room. Billy Schwarzenberg down the front straightaway. And things from this point on just got worse. That was fairly innocent with Trayton and Jordan Sims. So again, people are just racing. There are big events still coming up, but being the last APC race of the year, this was it. And for some reason, Delaware always seems to bring out the hard feelings. So there's one stack in turn number 4, and it's going to get worse from here. And I can't remember seeing a late model more damaged than we saw Andrew Gresel's car, and I believe we're going to see that fairly soon. I haven't even watched the video through to this point yet, but we should get to that, and it'll be when Gresel is alongside the 73 of Cole Powell. Oh, no, they edited that out. Did they not show that wreck? It was vicious. I mean, the damage to that race car damn near split it in half.
A lot of carnage. So, Adam, one thing we talked about, a lot of people, when it gets in the wreck fest, they start blaming the officials and that. And like you said before, earlier today, the officials don't always drive the cars, and sometimes they get blamed for situations. And yes, they do have to take the right actions to put the fires out sometimes, but they're not behind the wheel. They're not actually wrecking the cars themselves.
No, for sure. So by contrast to our show happened to be real quick, no big wrecks. Their show took a little bit longer, and they had some big wrecks and some carnage. And thankfully for the late model fans, there's still a few more big races this year. So if their driver's pissed off with somebody else, they still have an opportunity to get some payback.
I still like what you said about the J.R. Fitzpatrick response. That was a great one. We talked about give that to the viewers here who might not have heard you say that one before.
So J.R. Fitzpatrick and Matt Pritico, after the issue at Flamborough Speedway, where J.R. felt that he was wronged, and I had the chance to ask him, I said, so do you pay him back? Do you go out and get him, J.R.? And he said, I'm not going to ruin my day to ruin his day. But if I'm having a bad day, he better watch out. And I just thought that was brilliant. Like J.R. Fitzpatrick was a lot of fun.
That is a good one.
And Caden Lapsevich just commented about Delaware. It's a tough track, tighter than it looks. And that's a great point. It's a half-mile racetrack, which you would think might be wide and lots of opportunity, but really there is one good groove around there. And if you get out of it, you're in some trouble.
Interesting thoughts there about Delaware. Pritico ends up with the champ, right, Adam, and they're done for the season as well?
Yeah, so the APC series is done. Now it'll just be, fall colors and Oktoberfest and some of the special events that people get geared up for and come out to take a last swing at having a good finish.
All right, switching back to the dirt modifieds now. Matt Williamson on this show after winning $100,000 at the Orange County Fair Speedway Centennial Race has been on fire. And, we talk about Matt because, I hung around him and his Uncle Dipper when he was 12, 13, 14 before he even raced Sportsman when they first took over Merrittville. And Matty's been a buddy of mine ever since and one of my line mates at hockey in the wintertime. And good to see him go out and run so well. But, man, you brought it up today. Is he the hottest thing in modifieds this summer? He's certainly shown in the past couple weeks he is.
And it happens like that. You watch people progress, and some of them rocket to the top. Let's take Stuart Friesen as an example, even though we're talking about Matt Williamson. Do you remember when he got the Madsen overhead doors ride, Clinton? Brett Hearn stepped out of that car, and he didn't succeed in that car. He didn't get the results that they'd been hoping for. It was a struggle. But by and large, Stuart Friesen, over the past decade, is the best dirt modified racer there's been. So, I mean, people go through these steps, and then they get to the point where all of a sudden you're that elite level driver. You're the one people are looking at when they show up to the racetrack. And I mean, it's still, Matt Shepard is still probably the man. Stuart Friesen when he shows up at the racetrack. But Matt Williamson is creeping right up there. He's one of those that no matter where they go, he's a factor. And he's been doing it on a lot of different types of racetracks.
Well, Brewerton Friday, Mohawk Saturday, I think it was, and great runs for them. There'll be at Albany, Saratoga this weekend. A lot of big shows coming up, but definitely peaking at the right time. He was fast last year at Oswego at Super Dirt Week. We'll see if Matty can pull it together again, and we'll watch and follow his story as the weeks lead up to Dirt Week.
And while we're on that subject, Angela Rinaldi just popped in and said shout out for the shootout this weekend, of course, an Applefest weekend this weekend at Brighton Speedway. One of my favorite events of the year, and unfortunately, Clinton, I can't be there, which is unfortunate, but I wish I could go down there and watch that race. Greg Callan will be down there announcing, and it's just an amazing weekend. If you've never gone, go. The weather forecast this weekend looks fantastic. Do yourself a favor and make that drive.
Yeah, amazing stuff. You can find them out at Brighton on their website, brightonspeedway.com, and check it out. There's going to be some amazing number of cars down there for sure, and all kinds of action with your late model, sportsman guy, modified, street stock. They got it all going on this weekend at Brighton. So make sure you get down there. If you've never been, like Adam says, great spot. They've got a licensed bar and patio right there that with a great overview of turn 4. So if you're into that, hanging out, you won't miss the party by going to the races if you're there to camp as well. So it's going to be a great weekend at Brighton. And I think you and I both have to vow to keep our weekends clear next year so we can go to Applefest. And we've been talking about it. We've got some plans.
Yeah, we do. It's going to be pretty exciting what's coming up, Clinton. I'm excited about what our future is. The next 2 or 3 years in our racing lives, I think, are going to be really, really exciting, really memorable.
Do you hear that, Ange? We got plans. Mwah. You better watch out.
Focus on the important stuff. What could be more important than Angie Rinaldi? And she's actually commenting. I mean, she's actually doing something that involves racing. We should put some racing on the screen just to make her upset.
But you missed it. She said, focus on the important stuff with 2 mugs of beer. She knew I was focusing on the important stuff at the bar.
Exactly. No.
Moving on to iRacing, Adam. Our other associate leagues have gotten underway. There's got some highlights to talk about and show a little bit there. The announcing's been great on the other leagues, and I told you we better pick up our game when we get going in a few weeks. But the Oshweekend, the other league is going really well. Tell us about it.
So we're building up to October 22nd when Rivalz Elite Pro launches. And Clinton, the buzz has been phenomenal. iRacers, listen up. Don't miss your opportunity. I put a post on the Rivalz Racing Facebook page. Go to the Facebook page and send a message if you're interested in racing, if you plan on racing in the elite class. Because, Clinton, what we've had in the last week are different sponsors step up and say, look, we're interested in putting a team together. I don't really have drivers right now, but we'd like to be involved with this. We know this is going to be this is a direction we want to go in, we want to be involved in. So if you're a driver, don't miss out on your opportunity. Go to the Rivalz Racing Facebook page, click on send a message, and say, I'm interested in racing in the league. So what we're doing first is allowing any teams that are signing up to come and sign up. I expect we're going to have probably 5 or 6 teams confirmed by next week this time. That's my guess. And then once we feel the teams have pretty much entered what they're going to enter. We're going to open it up for individuals to come on in and take their own shot at signing up for the Elite League, but we're cutting it off at 40 entries. So it's either 10 teams of 4 or 40 individuals. But Clint, I don't think it's going to be 40 individuals. And it's exciting to see some of the people that are stepping forward are almost unlikely candidates wanting to get involved.
Well, I'm calling out Emma Cooper right now from Club 54 Racing because I see her just joined on, and I think they need to have an iRacing team. So, Emma, you and I are going to talk. But I think Adam, it's going to be great, super exciting. And if you're wondering what the iRacing League is and what the Rivalz League is, Adam, let's quickly talk about our associate. So this is our other association league. Maybe you want to talk about this. Is called by some of our other guys, and play the audio here. It's actually exciting.
Here comes Michalski through the middle. New race leader at the line, it's Brett Michalski. But now Finsel on the cushion, and what a move off turn 2. New race leader here on lap number 35 with 5 laps to go. Now Michalski back down through the middle. Michalski reclaims the lead. Finsel on the cushion. Michalski trying to shut the door, but Finsel turns underneath him. Final time through 3 and 4. Will it be Finsel? No! Finsel gets the wall.
Great racing.
I mean, that's...
And so if you've not seen it before, that is simulated racing. So let's spell it out for someone who's really not up to speed with what that is, Adam. That is a simulation racing game where the races are hosted by Central Host. In this case, it will be us at the Rivalz Elite League. We have announcers. That was Steve Ovens and Steven, help me out. Who's your other announcer partner? Brad? Fill me in. Help me out, Adam. Don't leave me hanging out here looking like an ass.
You said Steven help you out. Like, what? Are you talking to the voices in your head?
No, I'm reading his comments.
But that's the Strickland's. So that's the Strickland's GMC League. The top 3 finishers from that league every Monday are going to be qualified to race Rivalz Elite. So you don't have to pay to race Rivalz Elite Tuesday night, and you will be racing for money. You can run that free qualifier every week, and you'll be eligible for points if you so choose. The other way to get in is to guarantee a spot by paying your $250, and you'll be in. Doesn't guarantee you'll be in the A main every week, but you'll be one of 48 drivers, up to 48 drivers, competing in the Rivalz Elite League. And Steven, that was a phenomenal call. Like, I'm really excited with what's coming. And Clinton, you said yourself, we got to pick up our game. There's people coming on board that are pretty darn good at what they do. And I reminded you, no, we're on the same team. We're working with these guys, and I'm pretty proud to have them on board. I think it's going to be an absolute blast.
So that was Steve Ovens with the call. Brad doing the video production. Awesome stuff, and definitely got me excited when that highlight reel came through. I was like, whew, that looks awesome. So, and got me excited. So if you're looking, so that for you wonder what happens with your off-season fix. Well, you come out. If you're a fan, you can watch the races. You get to know these racers. They're racing Mondays. Our Elite League's on Tuesdays. We're planning to get you programmed. When you talked about our future, Adam, the idea is to get some fresh programming on a channel every week going forward, and every day, every week, and keep everybody rolling. So it's going to be great.
So next week, and yes, Clinton Nichols, there will still be the gauntlet races. We're going to take the top 5 out of the gauntlet races each week and the top 3 out of Monday. So there will be 8 drivers who get to qualify to race in the Pro League on the Tuesday night. Next week, we're going to post a list of names. Drivers, listen up. We are actually going to share your names on the broadcast if you're interested in racing. So some of these sponsors can see who's out there and who's available. Maybe Clint will even go through some stats from last season on who accomplished what. Now, if these drivers get taken up before then by some of the teams that are coming about, then so be it. They won't be available. But basically, we're going to have a list of everyone's a free agent because nobody owns anyone's rights. So it's going to be like a free agent listing, so you'll know who's who. And if you're one of the drivers and you want someone else to possibly help pay for your entry into the Rivalz Elite Pro League, you've got to come on to our Rivalz Racing Facebook page, send us a message, tell us you're interested in racing, and then we'll have a conversation over the next few days on Facebook just to get some of your credentials and some of your details and some of your information so folks can know who they might want to invest in.
It's going to be exciting. Clinton Nichols just brought up a draft. The problem with this, Clinton, and Adam is petitioning for a draft. I'm against draft. I would like this to be free market. And the problem with the draft is you need basically 10 owners to come up, or 10 captains to come up with the money up front, and then we could have a draft. But I'm all about, you want this to be a simulation of real racing. If someone wants to buy a team, they can buy a team. If 4 guys want to get together and put a team together, whatever the case may be. Now, Adam, you were real concerned about the social aspect of keeping everybody fair, and is this good? And I've told you many times, don't worry about it, right? Just let it go. And you want everybody to get along and be friendly. And I'm like, man, you want real racing? Let them eat each other if they're going to eat each other. That's my thoughts. Yep. But I think just let it go. This has potential to be an off-season real simulation of what goes on in the real racing world, with one exception, which we're going to talk about next.
So hang on, Clinton Nichols. Here's your opportunity, my friend. Come up with $1,000 Canadian money to have the Clinton Nichols Elite Pro team, and then put 4 drivers on that team. The top 15 in points get paid out. You can actually get a return on your
3.
So it's
right now of the top 60 drivers from last season have been claimed. 3. That means there is a boatload of super talented drivers up for grabs right now for the right owner, the right deal. It's going to be awesome to see how this comes together in the next 3 weeks. But I think it's going to be cool.
You can become the Jack Roush. Okay, that's a little dated. You can become the Joe Gibbs of iRacing. Put the money up.
That's dated too.
No, Joe Gibbs is hot. He's a commodity. Who's hotter than Joe Gibbs? Yeah, but he's...
Yeah, we're going to get to that. And yeah, Clinton Nichols, don't go away, because your punk NASCAR guy's coming up in one of the next segments we're going to talk about. But
so
he's the biggest defender of that guy.
So Clinton, you need $1,000 to put in the Camaro, then spend $1,000 on your Elite Pro team and turn it into more. So, for example, I'm going to start a team. I'm going to pay you, Clinton, $1,000. I'm going to go hire my 4 drivers. Say we finish top 4 in the points. I bring in $3,000 or $4,000 in prize money. I'll take my initial investment back. I'll split the rest with my drivers. And Clinton, you got all that money to put in your Camaro.
See, people say, you know how you make $1 million in racing, you start with 10 million. Well, you're going the other way. Adam Ross is showing you this is Adam Ross's surefire way to make money in racing. You're not going to do it on the real track, but you can do it on the sim track. All right. So iRacing is coming around to Adamo. It's going to be super exciting, and I cannot wait to get into it full time from our side. It's going to be great.
Yeah, next week we're going to name names, and I've talked to some. Like I said, you're going to be quite intrigued by some of the names you see coming together to enter teams in this league.
Spencer, throw up the screenshot ad for this Saturday's event at Ush Weekend if you can. Oh, man, he's so good. Flat Track Canada presents their one and only date at Ush Weekend Speedway this Saturday. We've mixed in the flat track bikes along with the micro sprints and the go-karts too. So if you look at on the right side there, the micro sprint and flat carts, hot laps start at 1 o'clock, heats at 1:30, features at 3 o'clock on the little track. Then on the big track, flat track bikes practice at 3 o'clock, heats at 5, features at 7. So pits open at 10 a.m. Prices are real effective. Adults $15 for a full day and evening. They'll go till about 10 o'clock at night. Seniors $10, kids $5. If you're going to be racing in the flat carts or micro sprints, it's a $25 extra entry fee. And come out and check it out. It's a fun day there. The interesting parts of that, Adam, is we're going to be doing it on the pit side. So the grandstands will be closed, and we're just going to service from the pit side. So the pit grandstands are going to be the front stretch. They're going to have their front start, finish line, and everything on the back stretch. So that's going to be interesting to see at Ush Weekend this week. Now,
I've been saying for years the back stretch should be the front stretch.
Well, maybe this Saturday would be a good test. This may be a good test. Let's throw that video, Spencer, up if you can. Start it at the 1 minute mark of the flat track bikes, and you got to see these guys out
up the outside of Brown.
So this is Doug Lawrence and Dustin Brown going at it. Turn it up, Spencer. This is these guys are going for the expert win, and watch these guys slide job each other at Ohsweken Speedway.
Looks like the experienced Lawrence really wanted to spook Brown and just take that line away. It may have worked. Brown shows some retaliation, and they dive in side by side. This is for the lead in the expert open class. Look at the Kuyangs on Brown fighting with Lawrence. He wants to take one of those away. He's going to have to tuck under because Lawrence is really shoving him up to the Armco.
Brown is not going away at all. I think Lawrence expected it would be easy once he got into the front. Wow, Mr. Lawrence, this is not easy.
Come on,
Lawrence is going to go wheel to wheel Brown, I think, for the rest
Wow.
of this race.
Now this is awesome. This is
And they
awesome
go like that
racing.
the
They're
whole
getting into lap
A-main.
traffic. We're gonna have to get
Unbelievable.
the blue flags. Let
Who
this
was
go. There's
calling
a
that
race
race?
happening, and they are like
The
side
flat track
by
bike guys,
side.
I
And
don't
it's
have their
a
names.
photo
They're great,
finish
though.
here over the finish line. It looks like we're
Yeah.
gonna have 2 laps after this go around.
Doug Lawrence ends up winning. He
Lawrence now
basically
with a
pulls
bit of
away
an
from
edge.
here, and
I fully expect
Brown can't get him
Lawrence
after
to
that.
pull
But
this laps over.
wow, I got to tell you,
Brown's
they brought
motorcycle have the ability to
180
tuck
plus
under. Is
riders
he
last
finding
year
enough
through multiple classes. They'll go a lot of the day. I mean, I had Glenn Stiers and a bunch of the other sprint car guys there the first time they ever came for a practice on a Thursday 3 summers ago. And Glenn had like claws in my arm. He's like, make these guys stop. They are mental out there. Like, even the sprint car guys were looking at them and going, these guys have lost their bloody minds. Get them off there.
Yeah.
And even the kids, I mean, they start like 6 years old, like we start our guys. They're on little 50s out there going at it. These kids wreck hard, like totally wreck. They get up, get dusted off, go back to it. If you've never seen the flat track bikes, the best way I can put it to you is sprint cars on 2 wheels, and you will not be disappointed for your $15 if you come out, check out the micro sprints early in the day, hang out with us. We'd love to have you. But yeah, flat track bikes this Saturday, and Haley's been there a lot. She said, these guys are nuts. Come out and enjoy a crazy show.
And speaking of this Saturday, Clinton, I can't remember the last time I went to a racetrack for the first time. But I get to cross New Hampshire Motor Speedway off my list.
Nice.
When was the last time you went to a track for the first time?
This spring I got to go to Bristol for the first time.
Okay, right. I can't remember before this coming weekend. I can't remember the last time I went to a new racetrack. Might have been Halifax a few years ago. Interesting, isn't it?
I think it was for me too. Halifax was probably the last one I went to with Joe Chisholm and the guys about 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've been to a new speedway. Interesting.
Some people make it a point to, some people make it a point to try a new speedway every year or multiple. But then you think about people like Pete Bicknell. When was the last time you went to a Saturday night racetrack that wasn't Merrittville Speedway? Sure, he traveled to a lot of midweek. Pete, right? Like people that have just been married to one place for decades. It's pretty wild.
That was me, right? For 15 years, I worked Ohsweken Friday, Merrittville Saturday, Humberstone Sunday. Anybody asked me, hey, you been to Canada? I went, no. You been to Brewerton? No. I didn't get to go anywhere for a long time. And that's why Dirt Week ended up being so much fun for us, was to get out and get to check out all these places we haven't been to before. So it's been good, Adam. Before we open things up to fan comments, and you guys can comment on anything you want, anything you want to talk about. Adam, I just want to talk about Kyle Busch and his behavior again this week. I mean, I just find it bad for a sport that needs help and needs to keep pushing all of the right directions. Kyle Busch's behavior is just terrible, isn't it? Back me up on this one, man. And you said you might actually argue in favor, and I'm like, you don't want to go there.
You know, I was going to argue the other side of that and say Kyle Busch is Kyle Busch. He's the best in the business. But no, you're right. I thought more about it, and I thought, nah, they just don't. It just doesn't sit well with me. At least Dale Earnhardt, who was the king of great quotes. Do you know why he was the king of great quotes, Clint?
Tell me.
Because he would walk away. He would say something quickly and be done. He wouldn't drone on complaining. Like it just.
No, I think my beef with the whole deal is, if you aspire to be a champion and a support, when you achieve that, you have to carry yourself a little bit higher than you were when you're just one of the gang. And you have to realize you're the representative of your sport. And what is he making out there? Other people who aren't racing fans, who only see this clip that gets shared 1,000 million times, it's just disgusting to me to see our sport represented by someone like that. And you know what? I worked for Kyle Busch for 4 years at CTMP spotting for his truck teams. It's just not cool, man. It's just not cool. I mean, and the sponsor, I don't know if they have an issue with it. I hope someone's talking to him. I'd like to see an apology from him, although I know it's not going to come. Man, it's so frustrating to see. Like, and it's not just because it's racing. I mean, I'd be pissed off if Tom Brady walked around talking like that too, or Tiger Woods for that matter. You know, when you're the one who's carrying the flag for your sport, I think you owe it to us all who are fans and participants of that sport to not be a total ass.
Okay, you want the perfect example, in my opinion? Scott Kruder, earlier this year, got absolutely obliterated by a lap car. And it was the lap car's poor judgment and that on that particular straightaway that led to Scott Kruder absolutely destroying a race car. You were on the scene just seconds later, and he was really fired up. He was really angry. But within about 5 seconds of talking, he toned it down to a point where he didn't throw jabs. He didn't make comments that he may have been within his right to make. And in that moment where he was so upset, he took the high road. So if someone like Scott Kruder can do that in a heated moment of passion, not after he's had 5 or 10 minutes to cool off after a race, why can't Kyle Busch do the same?
I agree. And you know what? I understand you're frustrated. You've got these reporters asking ridiculously poor questions, and that just gets you even more fired up. But I don't know. It's time and time again we've seen it. It's not the first outburst. I don't know, man. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, we got to talk about that, because I can tell you if one of our Ush Weekend champions acted like that, we'd be having a talk with them. I would. I just like, why do you got to be that way? Like, why can't you help us build it? Why do you got to tear it down? It's the same thing we tell our guys at the banquet. You know, if you stick with us, we will bring you major things that have never happened before, because positivity pays, negativity tears stuff down. And look what we've brought since then. We brought major sponsors, corporate TV, live television, a documentary cruise. Oh, here we go. Clinton defending his
Clinton's defending, and John Lowenberg as well. You guys are crazy if you want Bush to change. I don't want Bush to change. I just want it to be okay. I read it. I saw the start of it.
No, I'm asking you to read it to the fans.
Oh, okay. In a sport with flavorless people who constantly have to be correct, people like him need to keep personality alive. You can say it's as bad as you want to, but at the end of the day, Joe Gibbs isn't complaining. M&M's isn't complaining. He's getting fans to watch, whether it's to see him race or to see what he's going to say, and that's what pays for him to keep a car on the track and the 18 team employed. So I'm okay with that. I'll accept that. Just wait a sec.
I would. Okay, go ahead.
I can accept what Clinton has to say, but I also accept the fact that the driver he was talking about next week, if he's in the race, should walk up to Kyle Busch in driver introductions and punch him square in the mouth. We've become so soft that people can say whatever they want without any repercussions. Don't go out on the track and wreck him. Go punch him right in the yap. It's like, go ahead, say what you want. There's no consequences anymore. Clinton, you've punched me in the balls this year because I said something that upset you. And guess what? It taught me I really need to consider what I'm about to say to Clinton Geoffrey, or I might get punched in the balls. Now, people say, oh, you're condoning violence. No, I'm condoning
punching in the
balls. Punching in the balls. I'd prefer to see him get punched in the mouth. And then next time they put a microphone in his face, see if he says it again. And if he does, maybe someone will come up and punch him in the mouth again. Or maybe he's going to have to learn how to fight. Or maybe, just maybe, he's not going to say things quite the way he said them in that case. But because there's no repercussion, We've gone so soft and vanilla when he's the only one who's outspoken and saying whatever the hell he wants. Say that about Tony Stewart. See how that goes over.
I've seen him knock out a fan in the pits. Back to what I said. You can say that M&M's and Joe Gibbs don't have a problem with the Clinton, but I firmly believe that someone in both camps have got word to him that his behavior is not what they're looking for. However they said it or not, but I promise you, both of those corporations had a talk or got a message to Kyle Busch saying, please do not embarrass us like that every time a microphone is put in your face.
No, and people do notice those things, and there is, in that sense, consequences to your actions. But everyone's become so vanilla, and everyone tries to be so professional. I watched some other race broadcasts on TV this weekend, Clinton, and I normally don't. And I was appalled at how boring they were.
Well, we talk about our live stream and all the characters we have. We have a lot of stories, and I think that's our biggest thing. We'll talk about that maybe next week a little bit more. You brought that. What makes us different is the stories. And I think, Greg, you and myself do a great job of telling the stories instead of just talking about what's going on in circles. And that really helps bring that out. And that adds to our authenticity, is that we've got real characters. And I'm not saying a driver should not show emotion at all, because I love it when they're fired up and I stick a microphone in their face. As long as they're saying the right things and they're directed the right people in the right manner to not embarrass the speedway, the sport, themselves, or their teams, let her fly, man. Let us know what you're thinking. For many years, my favorite thing to walk up to a driver on the edge of the track is say, do you want to talk? Tell us what happened. Don't swear. And here you go.
And our drivers do a great job. We've had, and that's going to be a topic upcoming as well, how good the interviews are by our drivers, even when they're upset. They really do a nice job of putting into words what it is they want to say, instead of just bitching or instead of just whining. That's my take, though, Clinton.
No, it's another fantastic show. I want to thank everybody for joining us here on our Race Chat Wednesdays. We will be switching Tuesdays in a few weeks, but I think we're here for the next couple of Wednesdays anyways. We will be back to wrap up Applefest next week. Of course, if you're down the Brighton Speedway area, check out Applefest. Adams off to New Hampshire. If you're hanging around our neck of the woods, the two-wheelers come to Oshweekend Saturday, so make sure you're out there to check that out. And we got
you know what I get to see this weekend, Clint? Do you know what I get to see?
Lobster?
Well, maybe so. Modifieds at New Hampshire.
Yeah,
I mean, that to me, it's not the Chili Bowl in terms of things I'd like to see, but it's up there. As far as racing on asphalt, there's not much I'd rather watch than Modifieds at New Hampshire. The way those cars race is just awesome. I can't wait to see it, to feel it, to hear it. It's going to be fun.
Excited. I got one quick question here. Tim Thompson, any quick updates on Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, formerly South Buxton? I spoke to Henry Saturday at the Nationals, said they've got a lot of work to do to rebuild, but they're looking to come back stronger than ever. And I did see them working on the track over the weekend too. So they've not slowed down. They expect it to be back up and running by 2020, but they do have a lot of work to do. Anything else you want to wrap up? Thanks again, Spencer, for an amazing job all year long on the live stream. We're going to continue to rock that. We've got our MAV TV broadcast coming up this weekend. Stay tuned for more details on that. We'll be live streaming from Saturday with the motorcycles and the micro sprint starting at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday. I don't know, man. We got so much going on, even though the off season's coming up. Quickly, Oshweekend drivers and teams, if you need to buy banquet tickets, they're only selling tables of 10 until the 29th. You can contact Tammy at oshweekenspeedway.com. I think that's about it. It's been a great show. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. So, wow, look at all the love. Is that all just flowing in now?
Yeah, I don't know.
So much, everybody.
That's a lot of hearts. Anyhow, and I want to talk next week about the NASCAR Pinty Series Championship. I think it might be the most compelling championship battle we've ever had, and we'll see how it shapes up after this weekend in New Hampshire, but it's a two-dog fight.
Yeah, we'll both be down in Chicasa for that one for NASCAR on TSN. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 9 p.m., MAV TV Canada, All North Racing from Oshweekend Speedway. Check it out. One of the broadcasts will definitely be up. How many days to opening night. Well, I don't know, 357 if I had to guess off the top of my head. See you later, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Great job, Adam. Great job, Spencer. Thanks for all the clips. Thanks for being a fan, everybody. Say good night, Adam.
Good night, Adam.